So when Prabhupada walked in, immediately he wanted to have darshan. It was just a Guru Garanga altar. We had a picture of the Panchatattva. So he walked into the temple, and I was very, a little tense. I didn't know what was going to happen, if he'd approve. It was so simple. And he looked, and he said, "Oh, my Guru Maharaj is here." And he gave his dandavats. So that that really impressed me, because here was Prabhupada. This is only 1970, but still such a great personality, and he's giving his dandavats to this very, let's say, humble altar. So that was wonderful.
He said, an artist worships Krishna by his intelligence. So that just sitting and thinking of Krishna, intelligently making decisions how to portray Krishna, that is engaging one's intelligence in worship. And by doing so, then Krishna reveals himself.
The communist thing is going on in Calcutta at the time. They were bombing in North Calcutta. There were some seats for life members, a rupee each. Some communists came and they say to me that this is distinction. Those seats are for a rupee, and some people might want to sit in those seats and they can't pay a rupee. I said, well, some people are life members and they want to sit in seats, so we're making that option. They were complaining, so I said, well, go sit in the seats. If there's distinction and you like the seats, go sit in the seats. But previous to that, they did, and they were satisfied with that. It kind of diffused it. But previous to that, they had sent up a chit, a piece of paper on the stage that said, "Quit or die," and to Prabhupada, "Quit or die," which was their language, is like, "Quit India or die." Does this sound all right? "Quit India or die." Prabhupada starts out with the Brahma Samhita prayers. They're so beautiful. It just soothed everybody.
There were 2,000 people, and there were some hecklers there. And we were worried. There was some anarchists and communists and young kids, but they were a large group of them. So when Prabhupada first began to speak, he was sitting on a wonderful throne, Vyasasan, that was built for him, and very impressive. So people were heckling. They're saying, "On the floor, on the floor, on the floor." So Prabhupada asked the translator, Jyotirmai, he said, what are they saying? And she said, "Prabhupada, they're saying you should sit on the floor." So there was a moment of silence, and then Prabhupada looked at, especially the hecklers, that they're part of the audience, and he said, "If someone is qualified, they can sit on the seat. This seat does not belong to me. It is the seat of Vyas. Whoever is qualified can sit here. Whoever is qualified in speaking the Bhagavad philosophy can sit here." He said, "But if you can hear me better, I will sit on the floor." Now something happened when he said that, and it was translated. It was like the weight of that statement was enough to stop them. After that, they remained quiet and respectfully listened to Prabhupada. It's just the way he said it. If you can hear me better, he said, I will sit on the floor.
I know in India, I had an opportunity to see how he really expected a lot from them, from Indians, and he encouraged them a lot, and it was almost, because the type of Indians that he attracted were always very, very high-class people. I mean, big industrialists, and not only big industrialists with money, but people who had principle, people who were, if not Vaishnavas, a mixture, like Dr. Patel, for example. That was the most amazing friendship or association or whatever you want to call it. And I saw so many occasions where Prabhupada was very, very intimate with Dr. Patel, almost like a friend. He let him get away with virtual murder in terms of Dr. Patel's attitude and challenging Prabhupada and joking with Prabhupada. But I did see, and it imbued in me that vision also, that if Indians would just take up Krishna consciousness and pursue it the way Prabhupada was doing, that it would be a great addition to Lord Chaitanya's thrust in the Sankirtan movement. He really wanted Indians to get involved, and just the way he was very charming. He was very respectful towards them. At the same time, he wouldn't let them speak nonsense, but it was almost like so much respect and love involved that they appreciated being chastised by Prabhupada, and he often said, "I can do, you cannot."
Prabhupada starts out with the Brahma Samhita prayers. They're so beautiful. It just soothed everybody. Pishima comes up on the stage, and she had a following of mostly ladies from Bengal, and they were all, since she was at the front of the stage, or they were going up, we just finished the Brahma Samhita prayers, ready to start the program, and we hear all this noise, and they're talking, and da-da-da, and then some men get up and say, shut up, and they're making more noise than the original noisemakers. So Prabhupada calls me over and said, what's going on? I said, Pishima is trying to get your attention. See, it's an off-the-wall thing. He looks at me, like we've got a program to do here. So what is going on? I said, some disciples and well-wishers of Pishima are there, and so they're making noise. He says, get them to stop. So I went there, and as nice as I could, I said, we've got to stop, and it subsided in about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. So I went to Prabhupada, I said, okay. He said, I used to beat her up and I still shall.
As Prabhupada was talking about qualifications, a man's qualifications, and how hard it is to judge, and that it is almost a gift to judge another man's qualities. It isn't a matter of just comparing one man to another, or going by some standard of socioeconomic worth. And he said my grandmother was expert at this. He said she was a simple woman, not educated, and but everyone respected her opinions. He said, I'm trying to remember whether it was his sister, I think it might have been his sister, who, there were a number of boys who were applying for the honor of her hand. But it had to go through the grandmother. She was the one who decided who was worthy and who was not worthy. So, so this young man was there, and he was well educated, and she was like drilling him, He was educated and came from a good family. He had, there was money, and he was just, a gem of a person, upstanding, and so on. And then she said, can you ride a bicycle? He said, oh no, I never learned. And he was a young man in his, I guess, early 20s. She said, so she didn't say anything. There was one of the questions she asked him. And afterwards, so they came and said, well, what do you think? She said, he's worthless. And everyone was in shock, She said, he has no drive. He said, any boy, any young boy has an opportunity to learn to ride a bicycle, he will get on, even if it's not his own, some friends, he will get on and try to learn. Who has any kind of drive? He said, he has no drive, he's worthless.